Good day, fish tankers. There's so many things to enjoy about this great hobby. What is your best things? Is it the colors, or is it something like all the different aquatic plants, or perhaps you're a marine fish keeper and you like the invertebrates, or perhaps you just like to sit and relax in front of an aquarium and watch the fish do their thing, or maybe you have a fish that is a treasured pet. Well, here are my top 10 things. Stick around. That's me as a kid with my first fish tank, and what a journey it has been. So that's number 10, the journey. It's a long journey of learning, and you go into different things like simply keeping a fish tank with plastic plants like these goldfish where I started. And then I went on to keeping some live plants, a big forest of Java fern, and from that I went all the way to different aspects. I even dabbled in the marine or saltwater part of a hobby for a bit. And now I'm keeping mostly ecosystem type low-tech planted tanks. Number 9 is the online community. It's a niche interest, and online has changed it a lot. There are all the Facebook groups, of course. We also have WhatsApp groups that I admit I'm not the greatest at, but I love YouTube. So many great YouTubers out there producing content. I've learned such a lot, and they certainly have entertained me over the years. And there we see old Joey. Learned a lot from him as well, the king of DIY. And that's how I spend many evenings next to the aquarium looking at more fish stuff on YouTube. Number 8 is feeding time. That's the one interaction we have with our fish, because we can't take them out of a tank and pet them. And we don't all have facilities for a giant gourami eating his peaches. But I like feeding, especially my pea puffers. It's a very personable little fish. And I just like watching them tug and play around with their food. The opposite that you want from your kids, but these guys are quite entertaining when it's meal time. Then the other thing that I like is older fish. This Colombian tetra is going on 6 years now, still in very good nick. You can see he's getting older now by the curvature of his spine. And then I had a kissing gourami that started as a small specimen in that very same tank, and he turned out to be a big fish, and he lived for 15 years. I was very sad when he finally passed on, but that's what I like. It shows you're doing something right if you have a fish for years and years. And then the next thing is fish that are wet pets. I had Oscars way back in my youth. I really miss them. I wish I had the space to do Oscars again. They're really like underwater dogs. Really personable fish. They recognize their keeper and they react to you. These days, flower horns are all the rage. Do you guys like flower horns? Let me know who keeps them. Do you like them? Don't you like them? And why not? But they're certainly reactive fish. And these days, as a wet pet, I would say it's my betta. I keep smaller wet pets these days, but if you don't have a lot of space, bettas are also very personable pets. They come to you, you can tap on the glass and they come swimming for your finger, especially when it's feeding time. And let's combine two things we like, and for me that's wine pairing, my wine with my aquariums. This tank is more mellow sort of tank, goes well with a good Merlot. While the smaller nano tank over here, slightly more complex and nuanced. I would say this goes with a Cabernet Sauvignon, that seems to hit the spot. And then here, my favorite tank. This is a more complex tank. I would say this is a Cabernet Franc. Yes, that seems about right to this tank. Then it is setting up a new tank. You got to decide what you want. Is it going to be a low-tech planted tank, or are you going to go the high-tech, fancy lights and CO2 route like this Dutch-style high-tech planted tank? And then you got to decide on the plants and the hardscape. Here's another high-tech tank, and you can also do it half land, half water, like this paludarium. That's also something that sort of came into the hobby a bit later. Or maybe you want to try your hand at seawater or saltwater or marine fish. I suggest start with a fish and live rock only. And then when you've cut your teeth, you can move on to the reef tanks. That's one aspect of a hobby that I haven't done yet. I'll need some deeper pockets. And then of course it's the planning for the equipment, shopping for the type of aquarium, the tank that you want. trying to find the right lights according to your budget and your needs. And of course, who doesn't like to completely nerd out on filtration? That's one thing that's probably talked about the most as far as aquarium equipment goes. We all have our opinions on what the best filter is for which application. And then of course there's a dizzying array of substrates on the market these days as well. But while you're at it, don't just make a fish tank, rather create an ecosystem. Now that's a whole system that you try to get everything in balance. You'll see all the plants, and it starts at the bottom with a substrate. I have deep dirted substrate. It becomes a living thing. It becomes a kind of a filter. You can use aqua swell as well. And then all the different kinds of plants. Some of them thrive, some die away. And then you have the small critters like the snails. There's a nerite snail. There's some Malaysian trumpet snails. And then of course you see all the other plants grow in, and the fish find their niche in the aquarium. Some get really old like a guppy. Sometimes you even have algae. A little bit of algae is also part of a healthy ecosystem, because it gives that Siamese algae eater and the otto something to do. But it does require a bit of patience establishing an ecosystem. Here's how that aquarium started. And here's the whole journey. You can see the plants developing. There's that little cube. It started off as a tank of aqua swell. There you can see there's some valve being added. There it's going as well. You can see how it's changed over time. It's been going for 2 years, a bigger one of the two. And there you see the water tank kicking in, and that's now where both are deep dirted substrate, and that's what it looks like now. Same thing with a big tank downstairs. Started as a tank simply with some Java fern, then I added a Nubias, changed the substrate there to black, and then I also did a deep dirted substrate, a living substrate, and that's how that turned out. And here it is tonight. Guys, please hit that like button. It will greatly help the channel. Thank you for all of you who do it so regularly. I really do appreciate it. And that leads us to the next thing. And what can be better than touring our local fish stores? It's just a bewildering array of hardscape, equipment, plants. It's always nice for me to go and see what is available in the hobby, even if I'm just window shopping. And that's also a meeting place I find for our community of fish keepers. As much as I like online, I also like old school. I like human interaction. I like talking to the store owners, chatting about our fish, bumping into other hobbyists. Something I like to do every second week or so. Whenever I get a chance, or when I'm in a new town, I go and find fish stores, and it's something I find very enjoyable. It's really one of my favorite activities, visiting the local fish stores, so please support them. Then what's better than looking through the plants and suddenly there you see a tiny little fish, and that's my favorite thing, baby fish. In this tank I've got a thriving little community of cherry barbs. There's 2 babies. One is bigger than the other, so they're various sizes, and there you can see the adults. And the same happened with the diamond tetras. Here's 2 baby diamond tetras. You can see at different times one is a bit bigger than the other, so these eggs somehow survive, some of them. And some of the little fish, some of them make it to adulthood. And the big tank, same with the community of emperor tetras, they just keep going. There's about 5 babies swimming around now the last time I've counted. There you can see when I zoom out how tiny it is. And here's another baby that's slightly bigger. You can now see with a blue eye and a little extension on the tail that it's a male. And I don't think I'm ever going to need to buy emperor tetras again. Once again, it tells you you're doing something right, and it's just nice to see nature at work. Then it's a nice little ecosystem. Guys, please remember to share the content among all your fishy people. I greatly appreciate that. And as we look at the 2 baby diamond tetras and cherry barbs, there's Daddy. Please remember to subscribe. And until I see you guys again, keep taking good care of those domestic denizens of the deep.